Hi, I'm Steve Mancuso, and this is my informative speech, and here's my audience.
Hi, I'm Lori Mancuso.
Hi, I'm Frank Mancuso.
Hi, I'm Nick Tatlow.
Hi, I'm Frank.
Hi, I'm Greg Tatlow.
Could you imagine being stabbed 23 times by your closest friends and counsel? Well, it happened one of history's most critically acclaimed leaders. Now, I've always had a passion for ancient civilizations, and this led me into taking a Roman civilization class my sophomore year of college, where I learned all about this time period. So I realize not all of you are as interested in history as I am, but either way, you're bound for a good story, and you might learn something valuable from Julius Caesar. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about his lifestyle and his accomplishments, and my goal is for you guys to gain an appreciation for Caesar. Now, even from his early days, Caesar did everything for a reason, just as any natural strategist does, and he always was set up for greatness and had a desire to be great. So Caesar started off, he married his first wife, Cornelia, who was an aristocrat's daughter, and aristocrats were the nobles or the rulers of Rome, and proletariats were the opposite of that. Those were the normal working class. And then two other terms you might hear thrown around are patricians and plebeians. Patrician were those born into the high class or upper class, and plebeians were those born into the lower class. Now, Caesar, like I said, did everything for a reason. He married an aristocrat's daughter to gain social status, and his first goal was to become a priest of Rome. And priests back then, they were allowed to get married, but they weren't allowed to marry plebeians, and that's why he chose an aristocrat's daughter to marry, who was also a patrician. So then Caesar, as he started building his political connections in Rome, he made some connections with Sulla's enemies, associates, and his enemy was Marius. And Sulla saw many Marius in Caesar and wanted him dead, so he put a price on his head, and he actually ended up being talked out of having him murdered by the Vestal Virgins and his council. So he didn't end up having him murdered, but Caesar knew he was in danger, so the wisest thing to do was to get out of Rome and let things cool down. And this is where Caesar's political campaign took off. He started climbing the cursus honorum, which is the sequential political ladder that was part of the Roman Republic. And the first step in that was to become a quaestor, who primarily served on the financial administration of Rome. And here he gained a lot of experience. And his first wife, Cornelia, actually died in childbirth, and so then he remarried another aristocrat's daughter named Pompeia. Legend has it that Caesar stood at the foot of the Alexander the Great statue in Spain, and this is where his quaestorship was, and regretted not being as successful as him at this point in his life, which is sort of ironic because it could be argued that by the end of Caesar's lifetime, he accomplished more than Alexander the Great. Caesar's next goal was to become Pontifex Maximus, which is the high priest of Rome, and he ended up winning this election. And at the same time, he divorced Pompeia and married his third and final wife, Calpurnia, and she stayed with him until his death. So through Caesar's strategic marriage arrangements and his early political success, he was already destined for greatness. Caesar continued climbing the cursus honorum and became a praetor, which is the third job in that sequence. And this marked the start of his military career in his Gallic conquest. So Caesar started as his praetor, and he actually fell into tremendous debt during his praetorship to fund for his political campaigns, and ended up fleeing Spain and joined the military as a Roman general. And he knew he had to do big things here, or else he would be tried upon his return and found guilty. So he actually ended up conquering most of Gaul and brought himself fame and fortune, and the Roman people loved him for this because it brought glory to Rome. And he brought himself out of debt at the same time. However, the new leader, Pompey, and his Senate never approved of his Gallic conquest, so they wanted him to come back to Rome and be tried. Now, Caesar knew he would lose because he never had their blessing on this, so he came back to Rome with an army at his back and chased Pompey and the opposing senators out of Rome. he convinced Pompey that his army was weak and dispersed, and Pompey fell into this trap, and they met in Greece at the Battle of Pharsalus, and Pompey suffered a massive defeat and fled to Egypt, where he was later murdered under King Ptolemy of Egypt. His men were left at Caesar's will, and Caesar actually granted them mercy, or as Romans call it, clementia, and the Roman people loved him for this because it showed that he was a just ruler and would do them all well. So, the next part of Caesar's life, he would serve as the head consul of Rome, which is the highest position in the cursus honorum. Now, every tragic hero has a tragic flaw, and Caesar's was that he suffered from epilepsy. And in case you're not aware, epilepsy is when you have spontaneous seizures, and it's usually chronic, or in other words, it gets worse over time. And his biggest fear was that his epilepsy would be exposed, because he kept this a huge secret, because it would reveal his weakness, and no one wanted any weakness in their ruler in the Roman era. So, eventually, since it was chronic, it became worse. The episodes became more frequent, and on one occasion, before Caesar was supposed to give a speech honoring the Roman Republic, he suffered a pretty brutal attack and was not able to deliver the speech, and it's said that this marked the beginning of the end of Caesar's life. And upon this event, Caesar started experiencing bad omens and signs, and word also started to spread of rumors of the conspiracy to murder Caesar. Now, like I said, since this was his biggest fear, the secret being exposed, he feared it more than death. He chose to ignore these omens. He ignored the rumors of his assassination. And on the Ides of March of 44 BC, which is March 15th, Caesar was stabbed by 23 of his friends, enemies, and council. And little did they know that he did nothing about it because he knew about it. So, through Caesar's military success, his political success, he proved to be one of the greatest historical figures of Roman history, and he chose to go down as a legendary martyr instead of dying from a humiliating disease, and that protected his overall legacy and his reputation. How far would you go to make sure your legacy lives on forever? Thanks.